I'm John Batchelor with Larry Kudlow, CNBC and Kudlow Radio on the weekend. NATO emergency meeting within these last hours in Brussels. A statement by Jens Stoltenberg, the General Secretary, following the meeting, saying that we stand in solidarity, that's the term that's used, with Turkey. Why? Because earlier in the day, Turkey asked for the emergency meeting following the shoot-down of the Russian warplane having crossed Turkish airspace. This led to what is now the fog of war. Are the Russian pilots dead? Have they been captured? Are they being rescued? All of these stories are coming out of Europe. However, I'm going to concentrate on NATO. We welcome Kori Schake, writing for Politico. Kori's at the Hoover Institution. Kori, these statements by NATO today. Russia is at odds with NATO, has been since Ukraine crisis these last 2 years. And we stand with solidarity with our Turkish member. Turkey is a member of NATO. Is this eve of conflict? How do you read this, Kori? Good evening to you.
Good evening, John. I actually thought NATO did a terrific job of both displaying the unity of purpose and supporting Turkey, but also not fueling the fire. That is, trying to calm the situation down so that the Russians either don't overreact or are to blame for any overreaction. I thought Stoltenberg hit it really nicely, and the rest of the NATO allies did too. Another thing they did that I really thought was terrific today was Stoltenberg, in his press conference, pointed out that not only had Turkey released the radar picture showing the Russian flight path in Turkish airspace, but he also emphasized that several other NATO nations independently had intelligence supporting Turkey's statements.
Well, okay, Kori, here's what I don't get. NATO is standing with Turkey in solidarity. The United States is supposedly standing with solidarity with President Hollande of France. Where's the Article 5 declaration of war against ISIS? What happened to that? I mean, Turkey, what happened to that?
So NATO's only ever had one Article 5 declaration, and that was in defense of the United States, but it did not result in NATO allies declaring war or even having an obligation to go to war in Afghanistan. So I agree with you. It would be fantastic for NATO to invoke Article 5 on defense of Turkey. Most likely, if they did that, the NATO responsibilities would be restricted to defense of Turkey.
Well, okay, can I ask a follow-up on this point? I want us to be aggressive and urgent and tough, Kori. I mean, that's my take, and we're not. The White House is not leading. But look, so Turkey shoots down these Russian airliners. The F-16s are vastly superior to these, Su-24s, right? The Russian planes, vastly superior. That's American-made equipment. So why don't we combine this with a no-fly zone? Say to Russia, we told you so. Now we're going to institute a no-fly zone. We'll set the rules of engagement, but be warned. Be warned. Even Turkey could knock you out of the box. Why aren't we doing that?
So I have two reactions to that, Larry. First, it's a very sound and sensible idea that we ought to claim a swath of Syrian territory in which we don't let anybody fly and we shoot out of the sky anything that's there. The Turks have been asking for that for a year and a half, and the Obama administration is unwilling to do it. So we know why we're not doing that. We're not doing it because the president won't do it, not because it's not a sensible idea. And the second piece, I really like that you're emphasizing that the Russian military is not that good.
I mean, can I just add, John, I don't mean to monopolize, but
No, it's fine.
On the radio Saturday, General Jack Keane, said to me about this topic of how good the Russians are, he said one American aircraft carrier has, I think, 3 times the bombers that Russia has right now in all of Syria. One American aircraft carrier. So Putin's playing with a thin deck, and our military knows that. Why doesn't Obama know that? And why doesn't he take action based on that?
I believe he does actually know that. Why he won't take action on it, Larry, you know as well as I, right? Like, he has been trying, his strategy is actually to do the minimum possible and pass these problems on to his successor. That's his actual strategy in the Middle East.
Turkey is not a strong military power in comparison to what NATO can deliver. Kori, do you measure that NATO will be reinforcing Turkey after this, or is the status quo what we're going to see, that Turkey will take on Russia's power, which is regionally considerable given their resources in the Black Sea and also the rest of Russia, those bombers, for example? Do you see that Turkey will have to do this by itself, or is there going to be assistance?
Yeah. So the way these things work in NATO is that the country that feels threatened asks the alliance for what it wants. The only known exception is the United States after September 11th, where the British made this happen, even though the Bush administration was focused on the more immediate preventative threats, and the British came across with a UN Security Council resolution, NATO's Article 5. They got everything going and arrayed international institutions and allies to be helpful to us. And that's what I very much wish we were doing now for Turkey. What I believe we actually will do is wait for the Turks to ask and privately beg them not to ask for something NATO allies won't give them. We know what NATO allies will give them, though, which is air defenses, because we did that earlier on in the Syrian conflict. The U.S., the Netherlands, Germany, several other countries that have portable air defenses deployed them to Turkey.
But not a no-fly zone. We're not going to do that.
I think it's a very good idea. I do not believe this president has any intention of doing it.
30 seconds, Larry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Kori, does this whole action today, Turkey knocking out the Russian plane, does this show that if there were a grand coalition to destroy ISIS, we would not include Russia? We would not include Russia. Some people are saying that loosely. I think it's a lousy idea. Don't include them.
I, too, think it's a lousy idea, because the way you form an effective coalition is by identifying a political end state that everyone can work towards. Whether it is Bush 41 saying we would eject Iraq from Kuwait, but we would not overthrow Saddam Hussein, right, which kept the Saudis and other Arab states in the 91 coalition. You need to run a coalition by the defined political end state that everybody's working
Kori
towards.
Schake of the Hoover Institution, Larry Kudlow of CNBC and Kudlow Radio on the Weekend. I'm John Batchelor.